was the biggest like turnaround surprise of this whole book.
Things happened.
She's a little, in her own words, dick drunk to protest in the moment.
And we're calling
we
it
would say
dickmatized.
What do I know?
What do I know? Get off my lawn. Side note, we watched K-pop Demon Hunters.
Dude, we were going to do it last night and then
we watched it last night.
We were going to, and then I was like, no.
Honestly,
I'm going to talk to Crystal about it. Maybe we can watch it tonight together.
It was so good.
That's all I've heard is that it's so good.
It was actually really fucking good. Like
That's all I've heard.
Oh, okay.
I heard the songs are really good too.
The songs are really, those whole situation. So it was so funny to me. So at the very, very end post credits, they have behind the scenes of some of the recording because there is one band in here, Twice. And okay, this is gonna get so nerdy in a second, but not really. So Twice is part of the company JYP, which is who Stray Kids is through as well. And we all know the Stray Kids thing. So at the very end, they show them recording it. And it's so interesting to me because I've seen that recording booth so many times because of watching all the behind the scenes stuff with the Stray Kids stuff. So to see that recording booth in like an actual like Netflix movie was fucking wild. But no, the music was awesome. The whole thing was so good. Like I was like, this is kind of dope though. Though that fucking Soda Pop song is goddamn stuck in my fucking head.
That's awesome.
Oh no, it was really, really good. It was really cool. I highly recommend it. But yeah, so
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
anyways, so what I was gonna say was, so we watched that, and then I eventually went to bed. This is what happened.
Oh, gotcha.
And I woke up. I must have slept so hard because I woke up this morning with a puddle of drool by my face. And I don't ever drool in my sleep, but it was like I had to wipe. I was like, what the fuck? I must have been so tired.
It was like hardcore.
It was in a silk pillowcase, like because
it's funny because I don't usually sleep very hard. So it's like every once in a while when I wake up and I have the hard lines on my arm and I'm like, wow, I slept hard.
Yeah.
Well, so we're done our wheel.
Yep.
And we had to continue on. We also were very excited that the third book in our Brutes of Bristlebrook trilogy has come out, and that is why we are here today, because we read the first two throughout the year, and we can finally wrap that up. So this week we read Entwined by Rebecca Quinn, and if you have not already read the first two books in the series and or listened to our episodes covering them, you should probably do that first.
Yeah. And as a heads up, the third book is 800 pages.
Yeah, it's
so everybody pour one out for Ariel.
I also want to take note because normally Crystal would have been here to chime in on the audio book part of it because we have been talking about the audiobook part of this trilogy quite a bit this year, but the audiobook does not come out until October 25th. When that does come out, maybe we'll check it out in comparison and be able to give you some insight.
Yes, because this audiobook is with a different company and has relatively the same cast.
Right. But it is done in full cast, which is pretty awesome. But we'll see how the third book is done. Yeah. Hopefully it, carries through. So Give a little previously on. Eden, our FMC, had struck a deal with Alistair without anyone knowing to try to save the women and children.
And not like the Titanic saved the women and children. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. And rid cyanide of Sam. There was some kind of miscommunication, and they were not able to contact each other, and Alistair ended up taking care of the problem himself. And Eden was caught out in front of her group, including her men, Dom, Jasper, Bo, and Lucky, Jacob, still holding down the fort at Bristlebrook, and the Sinners, as going behind everyone's back to make the deal. How she let Alistair go. She did it to free all the trafficked women and children, but now Alistair says he doesn't plan to free them. After all, he had them all surrounded, and to get them free, he asks for collateral. One person from their Red Zone helpers and one from Bristlebrook. Eden volunteers, but Alistair insists on Bentley and Heather. Alistair says it's time for the Sinner's reign, and that is where we had left off. This book does have trigger warnings. CNC, gagging, nipple and clit clamps, voyeurism, sadism, masochism, primal, mild degradation, praise, DVP, DP, group sex, role play, spanking, anal play and sex, whipping and flogging, suspension, blindfolding, candle, wax, heat play, withheld orgasms, cum play, crisis of identity, on-page violence and death, loss of loved ones and dealing with grief, food shortages, risk of starvation, medical issues due to deprivation, medical emergencies, trafficking of women and children, women being held captive for lengths of time, discussion and implication of physical violence, farm animals killed off for food, off page, misogyny, betrayal and gaslighting, explicit language, discussion of world fallout of war, bombings and drone strikes, loss of a partner, off page, loss of a brother, off page, sexual harassment, patient slash psychologist relationship, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and dealing with trauma, and references to untreated and undiagnosed mental health issues.
So a nice long laundry list of problems.
Yes.
Got it.
We also had a dedication. And if you've been following along, this dedication actually matches up with our previous dedications from the trilogy, which all have to do with a vibrator. And this one says, it's a hard thing losing a vibrator you love. Not so easy to move on, you know? Maybe one day I'll commit again, but for now, I'm in my fling phase. So this dedication is for me and for my arsenal of dildos and vibrators that would make even Jasper blush. Why choose, baby?
God, it's so good
Yes.
every time.
Yeah, so
Because
and we
why
love some
choose?
continuity.
Yes,
So
always.
we're here for that. And we're here for the end of the trilogy. We've been enjoying our time thus far. We hope you have too. And so settle in, buckle up. This one is
This is going
a
to be a
ride.
big boy. You're welcome.
Yes. So we begin our stories with the Sinners having dropped off the Bristlebrook and Red Zone group at the forest line at the edge of the city, leaving them only one weapon apiece, sending them on their way. Heather's crew and Bentley's crew immediately turn on Eden, pissed. Eden tries to explain, saying that Alistair swore he'd free them. He'd free them all, and that she was just trying to help the captives. They think she's stupid for even believing him, and now they've lost their leaders. She can feel Jasper and Lucky behind her, but she tells everyone that they survived. They're alive. The Sinners aren't coming after their homes anymore. Sam is dead. Arthur, Bentley's second in command, tells her that they didn't secure any food, any medicine. They have people to protect. They need Bentley. She tries to say they could come back to Bristlebrook when one of Heather's women says, and where would they sleep? What food would they eat? Their people are already having a hard time. She just says she's sorry, and they tell her they can't feed themselves with sorry.
Yeah.
Arthur says, yeah, that she needs to make this right. They expected to fight, not an ambush. They need a plan, and she owes it to them to help. But her people aren't welcome inside the Red City halls again. Someone else yells out that she's a traitor and that she should get the same as Aaron. Lucky growls and moves his hand to his empty holster out of instinct, and Jasper tells everyone enough. That the only thing anyone should be saying to Eden is thank you. She did free Alistair, but if she hadn't, they still would have attacked the den, and Aaron still would have betrayed them, and their plan still would have been compromised, only it wouldn't have been Alistair who discovered them. It would have been Sam, and they all would have been dead right now. It wasn't Eden who decided to attack the den. It wasn't Eden who brought Aaron in on discussions. The only thing Eden changed about what happened was who was executed, and it wasn't them. Eden's judgment that they're all so quick to condemn is all that saved them. Eden fights back tears, feeling like she does not deserve Jasper. Sure, Alistair is better than Sam, but that doesn't make him good. She only freed one monster to destroy another monster, a bigger monster. Arthur concedes that that might be true, but Aaron was not one of theirs, and now they are left without a leader or the medicine that they came for. He says they have to get back, but they agree to talk. They're going to need all the help they can, and they leave. Eden sees Dom and sees that he's pale and looking at Jasper like the life has been sucked out of him. And Eden realizes that everything Jasper had said, Dom took personally. Like it was Dom's fault because Dom chose to attack the den. Dom brought Aaron in, or allowed him, at least with Heather. And Dom just turns back to the forest and starts walking. Lucky is having a full blown basic panic attack because all he's been doing is having everyone he loves almost die constantly, and he just needs it to stop. So he just tries to grab Eden and hold her, but Eden's trying to get to Dom, and he just says that he won't let her. He just needs to hold her, and he frantically fumbles with her clothes and brings her to a tree and tells her he just needs her. He knows he's usually the little drama guy, but he needs a moment, and he quickly fucks her against the tree. He's pissed that she offered herself as collateral to those people, telling her that she is no one's sacrifice. No more secrets. When they're done, she asks if he's okay, and he says there's not much a quickie can't fix, trying his best to sound cheerful.
I mean, okay.
They travel for days. Their food rations are not much, and Eden has not been eating hers. And Bo has used up all his. So she tries to give him hers because he hasn't really talked to her at all. He's just angry. He's not necessarily blaming her. He's just really angry. She didn't confide in him and she did all this. He feels betrayed. He feels like they could have planned around this and gotten out better somehow if they had more knowledge. And he tells her as much. And then he realizes this is why he's been avoiding talking to her when her heart sinks visibly before his eyes. Dom finally says something to her when he sees her offering her rations to Bo and finds that she hasn't been eating hers and tells her to eat. And it's the only thing he's said to her, so she says, yes, sir. Bo says that he'll try to work on him, and Lucky tells Bo not to fuck shit up with Eden because it's clear he's doing his own weird dance around her. Jasper pulls Eden aside to chat with her. Lucky tries to follow them, but Jasper just ties him up and gives his leash to Dom to babysit him. It's actually really funny, but in true Jasper quiet fashion, Eden just spills her guts without prompting and says that she knows it was wrong and she shouldn't have lied or kept secrets. She's just trying to save the people, and now it's horrible and worse. And Dom and Bo and everyone's so mad, and they have the right to be mad, but she didn't want to say anything because she didn't want to be exiled for putting everyone at risk, and she doesn't want to never see them again, and she just keeps going on, and Jasper tells her that she'll always be welcome in his home. It literally doesn't matter what she does, with the men, without, she'll always have a safe place at Bristlebrook. She'll never be alone. And now Jasper has to go and make me cry only 39 pages into this book. But he also licks her tears.
I mean,
So,
uh,
Crystal gets some of that action.
you
He
know,
kisses
I
them,
enjoy the
you know.
licking of the tears.
I want
Okay.
that noted on record
I now officially
because
enjoy the licking of the tears. Okay.
I think I have a clip somewhere that
Yeah, there's clips of me saying a lot of things I didn't like that now I officially enjoy. So I think the point is if you break me enough, I give in. So
Jasper tells her that she worked around her grandmother's rules and then her husband's rules, and neither of them could be trusted with control. A few weeks of submission, no matter how she felt for the people she was giving in to, is not going to overcome a lifetime of learned behaviors of distrust. He tells her he's going to kiss her, and then he does, because that's Jasper's. They keep traveling, and they're right around the corner from Bristlebrook when Bo asks Dom what they're going to tell everyone when they get there. Eden has been collecting an herb called feverfew, and Dom tells them he's not in charge anymore. Do whatever they want. Bo doesn't think Dom looks okay and asks if he's been drinking any water. He says he has. Eden speaks up and says she thinks she can help. That's why she's been collecting the herb. So I thought this was going to go somewhere, but it didn't.
uh
It actually never went anywhere. Bo doesn't like this. The fancy pants doctor. He needs to be real medicine. But she turns to Dom and asks him to please let her help him just as the force shakes and they hear a loud boom. Dom is instantly on Eden, covering her, but then Bo says that it's Bristlebrook. Somebody set off the tripwires. Dom says they need bodies there now. Dom lets out a whistle and they hear gunshots going through the forest. Eden panics. Jake is at Bristlebrook. Lucky bursts through the trees, needing to touch Eden. Because,
duh.
yeah. Dom says enough, they need to move. Dom and Bo lead everyone forward. Then Bo exposes himself trying to draw out who is attacking, and a voice calls back telling Bo that they were invited. Bo says no. Like, no. And then people try to shoot again, and then there's Jake's voice saying stop. Apparently, Jake tried to make a deal with some sort of group called the Reapers, but they only do deals face to face, even though nobody was expecting them. They want to know who's in charge. Eden says Dom, as Jake says he is, but then Dom says Jake is. Dom has officially stepped down. Jake actually needed Dom to just shut the fuck up because he doesn't know what's going on, and he needed him to just let him do his thing, but he's shocked when Dom says, go ahead, because they're, on separate sides of the deal here. They haven't actually seen each other yet. Jake steps out into the line of fire and tells a man named Sawyer to show himself. Men appear out of the forest, and he says he doesn't remember giving them a location. The man who must be Sawyer says it's awfully rude to ignore someone trying to introduce himself. The Reapers are sitting on a gold mine of agricultural land, and Jake is trying to make moves to help his people because they're not doing well. The hunting team has not been catching things, and supply runs haven't been working out. He knows these people aren't people who like to share, but he's desperate, so he fights the urge to look for Eden and focuses on Sawyer. The men just shake hands as Dom makes it through the trees and comes up behind Jake. Jake asks Sawyer what he's doing there, and Sawyer says he's there to make a deal. And Jake asks if he at least brought food, but then Bo bursts through the trees with a woman named Jennifer in his arms, her leg all bloody. And the men behind Sawyer turn their guns to them. And then there's Eden and Jasper coming through the trees with Eden yanking Jasper's gun from his side, leveling it on the Reapers. And then women come through with guns, and it's just too much. And all of a sudden, the Reapers all just drop their weapons, kind of looking at the women like
Pew, pew,
they've
pew.
never seen women before.
Well, women with guns.
Also that. But then there's a bloody one, and they're like, crap, you know.
Yeah.
And Bo's like, gotta get her inside. Can't do anything out here. And Dom just looks at Jake and asks what he wants to do. And Jake thinks this is ridiculous. And Bo tells him to go inside and fix her, stop wasting time. And then turns to Sawyer saying that he's going to go with them, but he better keep the guns holstered. Bo pauses because is he really going to bring gun happy strangers around? I mean, they have Casey there. She's a teen. Like, around
Yeah.
Eden too? Like, come on. Sawyer says that they do not hurt women. Jake's patience is running out.
Physically. Sorry.
And he makes some kind of crack about how they can't even avoid a tripwire, that he thinks they're fine. And Sawyer kind of gets in his face, and then a bang explodes at their feet, and then Eden is freaking the fuck out and screaming that she's sorry, that he was in Jake's face, and she panicked. She didn't mean to pull the trigger. Jasper's just saying, give him the gun. Jake tells her if she wanted to have him bleed, at least take off her clothes first. Come on. And then he goes to her and grabs her and kisses her. Sawyer tries to introduce himself to Eden and says he's sorry to come barging in like this. They have some negotiation to do with the menfolk here. They didn't
The
come looking for
menfolk.
trouble. Yeah. Eden says that maybe their guests could use some refreshments and all that. Jennifer, who's bleeding, could use some help. And Jake's like, yeah, let's go. Jake's been busy while they've been gone for the weeks. He, along with the rest of the civilians, rebuilt all the defenses around Bristlebrook and built it up even more. And as they get behind into the area, he has also built himself a throne. And he just sits down on his throne.
I mean, okay.
And Lucky drags Eden up to stand next to the throne too. And then Jake pulls her onto his lap. Jasper goes to join them, and Jake says, not to bother, to go make them all some tea. Jasper's like, what the fuck? And Jake says, tea for their guests. Eden tries to go help, but Jake won't let her. And he turns to Sawyer and says he wanted a deal. What does he want? Sawyer asks how he likes living out there and makes a comment about how it's going to be winter soon. And if they don't have food to feed all these people, that's going to be a problem. Like, don't you think? But he's really not good at communicating or making deals. Jasper comes out with the
No,
tea.
no.
Lucky goes to help, but Jasper tells him no, that their king has given them a task. It should be noted that he keeps saying that because the Reaper people keep calling Jake King, because when he was on the comms with him, that's how he was using, because that's his last name.
I know.
But it's just the guys are like, really?
Playing it up a bit.
Yes. So he gives teacups to everyone, and Sawyer says that starvation is an awful way to go. If they die, they're not going to be able to do anything, but he has a better option. Come back with them. They have enough lodging and food for all of them. No one needs to starve. Jasper muses that perhaps they only want some of them, and one of the women is like, no fucking way. And Jake says, that sounds like a no. One of the other men with the Reapers says that they could use all of them. They have land that needs to be maintained, crops that need planting, harvesting livestock. All bodies are needed. Win-win. Jasper asks them how many women they have at their territory. They say 12, and yes, they have more men, but it doesn't mean anything. They just need people. Jake says they don't
Sure
barter in
about
women.
that?
Yeah. Sure about that? Sawyer says, are they really willing to let their women die because they're worried that the Reapers are going to flirt with them? Eden says it's obvious that they've hardly been around women, and now they want to drag them back to their house within minutes of meeting them. They talk over and around women like they're children. If they can't understand that women wouldn't want to go with them or be anywhere near them, that's a problem. The one next to Sawyer is named Cole, and he says they're sorry. They didn't mean any harm. They heard they had trouble and they have some of their own. So when King called, they thought they might be able to work something out. They do truly need bodies and they have food, but that also has drawbacks. The sinners come to their farmlands because it's close to cyanide and they steal from them. They aren't bad guys. Why don't they stay for a little while and everyone will be able to join them for a meal? No one will touch them. They're safe.
Hmm.
But they hesitate a little as they go back, asking if there's any more tripwires or explosives. Lucky chuckles and says about a dozen and tells them to watch their step. They go, and the civilians turn and start asking questions because obviously they didn't bring the promised food back, and Madison/Heather is not there. They demand answers, and Eden has to raise her voice over everyone to be able to be heard and explain that they had some issues and that Aaron betrayed them. Dom says that Heather was taken captive and that Aaron never should have been there. Cyanide was a failure of leadership at every step. Bo says that Dom needs to stop, but Dom says no, that Cyanide was his op. Everything can be traced back to his mistakes, which is why he has stepped down as their leader. They didn't rescue the targets. Weapons and explosives were confiscated. Bentley was taken hostage too, and the Red Zone expects compensation. They lost. Heather's crew starts freaking out. A rock launches from the group and clatters in front of Bo and Dom. Jake swears and tells them that they need to get out of there. They're making it worse. Bo's pissed, saying Jake just can't declare himself king. Eden looks at Jake and the enraged crowd and tries to say his name, but Jake just looks at her and says they need to go inside. Inside, she can see Jake talking to the crowd and they're already calming down. She tries to talk to Dom, who is also looking at Jake, but he just says that he's going to go get some sleep. They all need to be up before dawn to help Jake because he's going to need it. Bo is stomping around because clearly everyone has been moved in the house for better shelter and warmth for the civilians. And all of Bo's stuff isn't exactly where he left it. And he's freaking out. And he's going on and on about how, why is Jake getting all the credit with the women and the civilians? Eden says that he advocated for them all and it matters to them and it matters to her. And Bo says that the whole darn trip was about that they're trying to get resources to protect them. That doesn't make him a leader. Dom tells everyone to shut up. It took so much work for Jacob to get Bristlebrook into the shape it is in right now, and how hard it is to coordinate that many people, especially untrained people, into the organized response that they saw. And nobody offered to help before. And Dom would know. He was overwhelmed before they left and begging people for help. And Bo is still going on and says if Dom needs more support, that they can give it to him. And Dom says, Bo, shut up. That Bo just expects all this shit to get done, but it doesn't. Those civilians trust Jake. They don't trust Dom. Loyalty is earned. And he tells Bo that he's a hypocrite. He always says he's supportive and loyal, but he needs to stop. Jake isn't taking his job. He stepped down. Stop treating him like shit. And they start pushing at each other. Dom is really going for it and says that Bo thinks that his family made him a good person, but they didn't. He doesn't understand what it's like to never be good enough, what it's like to hurt, because his family loved him no matter what, and he never had to work for anything to make it better. He lives in the highs and he can't deal with the lows. He thinks cutting Dom out fixed things between them. Eden's telling them to stop, and Dom says he never accepts an apology and doesn't accept criticism. Dom says it must be so nice up there on Bo's high horse. And then Bo slams his elbow into Dom's gut as he tries to wrestle away from him and says it's funny. He doesn't remember ever hearing an apology out of him either. And that Dom has hurt him and he still hasn't gone anywhere. Dom says he can't just waltz back in like nothing happened and that he needed him before and he couldn't just grow up and talk about it. He just left him alone and that broke something. And now Bo's breaking it with Eden. Dom looks at the whole room and says that Jake has been doing good work. Everyone needs to show some gratitude and pull their weight. Eden looks up to see Jake standing in the doorway, hearing that. And she walks up to him, and Jake throws her over his shoulder and says that he thinks it's time they went back to their honeymoon suite. And then it clicks into place for some of the men, and they realize why Bo's stuff was kind of all over the place. Jacob moved all of Bo's stuff out of the room that he was sharing with Eden and moved himself in. Lucky and Jasper are cackling as Bo is swearing. Jacob gets to the top of the stairs and says that he is king of the castle and she doesn't have to choose because he is choosing for her. Lucky stops laughing. Jasper demands that Eden be put down. Dom just says that he's claiming her. Lucky is freaking out. Eden yells back that she'll fix it, but she's internally panicking about Dom. And how could he just say that like he was giving her up? Bo just seems more worried about his stuff in his lost room, and Eden manages to look at him and catch his eye and chokes out that she's been waiting her whole life to fall in love with him. And he turns his head, and Jake says that he told her they're no good for her. She doesn't need him. Lucky manages to bolt up the stairs and tells Jake that Eden is not just Jake's. Jasper threatens to put him in a cage. Jake just says, try it, and throws Eden into the room and slams the door closed, flicking the lock. Lucky's hammering on the door. Jacob slides a bedside table under the handle and teases them, saying, try to get in now. And then when it looks like the door is actually bulging some, he starts throwing things against it, like a chest, and then puts a table on top of that and tells Eden that they're not her boyfriends anymore. She doesn't have boyfriends. She has him. Eden tells Jacob that he doesn't get to decide that for her. He goes to kiss Eden, but Lucky's still hammering at the door, and he's talking about getting a sledgehammer. Eden just says, let him in. He's literally been by her side since the cyanide thing, and she knows he's panicking, and she tells Jake that she doesn't want him taking down the whole door of her room, and Jake says, it's not to say that. It's their room. They're not allowed to touch his shit. He's trying to put a bookcase on the pile, and Lucky sounds panicked, and Eden just says yellow. Jake whips his head to look at her, and she says she needs to talk to them for a second, and she'll be back to deal with him in a minute. He steps aside and says, fine, not that she can get through the barricade now anyways. Jasper knocks on the door and asks Eden to confirm she's okay, and that if they need her to be retrieved, they will. Eden says she's okay for the night. She needs to clear things up with Jake. And then Lucky is there saying that Jake doesn't get to choose for her. She doesn't believe him, right? He loves her. Eden asks Jasper to kiss Lucky for her. Jasper tells her that he'll take care of him. Eden tells Lucky she loves him. And then she turns to Jake asking if he really thought that that would impress her. He knows she's involved with the others. He says Dom seemed real interested. Not to mention Bo. That was sad. She tells him he's being a jerk. Jake says everyone will be fine, except her. He's going to wreck her. And he grabs her and kisses her. She tries to tell him that they need to talk, but he keeps kissing her. And he says enough talking. She knows how to stop him. 3 slaps. And then he puts a sock in her mouth and duct tapes over it. He says if she has a problem with him being the only person that she ever gets to fuck again, tell him now. And then goes, oh, not a word? Works for him. She glares at him.
Oh my God.
He pulls out his pocket knife, slices her bra off, which seems like a waste to me in this post-apocalyptic times, but
I mean, yeah.
what do I know?
What do I know?
He fingers her and pulls off the duct tape, saying he actually likes hearing her beg, and then kisses her. He rips her underwear off. She rolls over and crawls to the end of the bed, but he yanks her back and thrusts into her, holding her by her hair and saying she's going to be his, riding his dick like a good little queen. She's a little, in her own words, dick drunk to protest in the moment.
And we're calling
We
it
would say dickmatized,
dickmatized.
but
Yeah.
semantics. Afterwards, Eden wants to talk. Jake wants to feed her. He basically shoves a protein bar into her mouth because she needs to eat something. She tells him he can't just cut the others out of her life. She explains that he hurt her. She says she's not choosing. She doesn't need to. She was clear that if he chooses her, he's choosing the entire arrangement. He says he doesn't have to. He's making his own choice, and he chooses war. He's the only one she needs. He's going to prove it to her.
War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Sorry. I'm done.
She wants to try to be with them. He'll drag her off. That's his choice. They walk out on her. He's not like that. He wouldn't do that to her. She's his. She tells him he did walk away from her. And it was okay in the end because they're doing better for it. They're learning and they've talked. They gave each other space, and everyone needs to learn and do that sometimes. But Jake flips her on her back and says not to talk about them, and he goes to play with her again. But she safe words out, making him pause. She says she's not going to let him distract her this time. She tells him she loves how they are, and she loves him, but this isn't all of her. She loves them all too. She's not giving them up. They're family. He needs them too. Even though it was rude to throw Bo out, she appreciates the gesture and she loves him. He says he loves her too, or whatever. And she says she admits the whole king thing. It's a little much, but clearly admires him enough to humor it. He mutters out that that's his name. His name is Jacob King. And she said he's doing it. He's stepping up for the civilians and for her. He says he's going to prove it to her. And she says she's open to trying, but he needs to be open to her proving to him that she's right and that they all need each other. Lucky went with Jasper to his room, and Dom finds Bo looking sad and desolate in the hall with all his stuff. Bo just says that he's been down in the med bay and he doesn't know how to fix it. People are starving. This isn't his type of medicine. He doesn't know what to do or where to go, looking at his pillow. Dom nods his head to his room, telling Bo to come in. Dom makes up the couch for Bo while Bo showers, and when Bo comes out, Dom tells him he's sorry. Bo says he's mad. Mad at Dom, mad at Eden, and he can't make it stop. He still loves her, though. And he knows Dom does, too. Dom says he knows. Which is kind of a hard pill for Dom to swallow at the moment. He's really struggling with this whole thing. Clearly, Eden didn't think he was a good leader, so why was she pursuing him at all? But it's clear that she didn't trust him, and he's struggling to trust himself. So can he really blame her? Dom says to Bo that he loves him too. After Lucky and Jasper get done playing, they decide that Jacob took something of theirs. He should hardly be surprised if they retaliate. So they go downstairs to vandalize Jake's ridiculous throne. They even have all the stuff, all the paint and the glitter and all the stuff. But Lucky is actually the voice of reason in this.
Which is crazy to
once
me.
they get there, and convinces Jasper that it's not nice and not a great idea.
Which is insane that it's Lucky being the
Lucky
voice of...
was the biggest turnaround surprise of this whole book. He was just
Yeah.
like, you know, I am fun and I am the golden retriever of the group, but sometimes you
But
guys need to grow the fuck up
yeah,
and need the adult. And if I have to be the adult, I guess I'll have to do it.
which is terrible. Why?
Yeah.
He's like us when we're like, who let me be an adult?
Yeah.
Like,
Who made me have to do this? Yeah.
right? It's so funny.
It was great. Eden and Dom find each other in the kitchen early the next morning over Eden's version of coffee during this scrounging time, and they go to sit on the porch, swing, and talk. She just babbles about Jake and how he wants her all to himself, but she said no, and how he won't even talk to her and all this stuff. And Dom's kind of confused, like, why is she telling him all this? And she says, Rule 6. He told her to talk to him when she was upset or if she needed anything. So she is. She needs to tell him that he's wrong about cyanide and all of that. It wasn't his mistake. There wasn't anything he could have done. He stands to go and says, drop it. She tells him no, she won't, because she's the one who lied. She went behind his back and freed Alistair. Dom did everything to protect them, so it's on her. He just spins back around and says, why? Why did she lie to him? Why didn't she just come to him? Because she didn't trust him, and she knew he wouldn't listen. She didn't trust him, and why should she? She says he's wrong. She does trust him. She went to tell him at the bonfire when they ended up finding the blood in her room, and it all just got away from them.
Things happened.
It kind of clicks a little for him, and he says that she was afraid he would make her leave because of the deal, and he takes a deep breath and says she should never have to worry about being alone. There's a difference between compliance and submission, that he fucked up with her from the moment they met. He isn't a leader worth a damn, and she tells him he doesn't make her afraid of being alone. Other people in her life did, but this is a different world for her. People just don't risk themselves for others, but he does. He came after her. She won't pretend that the deal was handled perfectly, but they've all learned from it. This is her home now, and maybe she didn't fully trust him all back then, but he took his time with her and earned it. She's the one who betrayed him. She was worried about being cast out because she was terrified of what it would mean for the women and children if Alistair and Mateo died. And she did bring that to him because she does trust him. It's not his fault that she didn't go along with his choice. He shouldn't have to worry about people betraying his choices. Alistair lied. He took Heather and Bentley. They have no food, and that's on her. He says that Sam would have killed him, and he let Aaron in. He tries to leave, and she says, no, Rule 6. She's talking, and he can't just leave. He says, forget the rules. They don't matter.
Sorry.
She says yeah, right? She says he's a captain. They need him. He brings everyone together. He tells her she needs to stop calling him sir, because that's how she's been regarding him. And it's been driving him freaking crazy because he feels like he lost the ability for him to be that for her. And she just gets upset, asking if he really wants her to stop, because if he says so, she will. And it'll be done. And he just yells back that she doesn't trust him. Trust is everything. And tears fill her eyes, and she just falls to her knees in front of him. And then there's Bo, who comes up and tells her no, and that neither one of them should say another word because the two of them need to be in a timeout. Eden turns to Bo and demands that he tell Dom that it was her mistake, not his. She's the fuck up, because she knows that's what Bo believes too. So just tell Dom it's all her fault. That's why he hates her too. Bo says he doesn't hate her, and she just cries more. Dom tells her trust isn't something she proves, it's something she earns, that they both need to earn it, and he's sorry for yelling, but takes a breath and says he's mad at her, but saying the words. So she hugs him and thanks him for being honest. And then Lucky is descending upon them, saying, isn't this scene cozy? And tries to pile in. And Jasper's not far behind him. Lucky tries to take a sip of the coffee slop and instantly descends into madness around them as they're talking about this ridiculous slop, until Jake happens upon them, pissed. He scoops Eden up, taking her and kissing her. The men are angry, saying to give her back. Dom just kind of gives up. Bo gets mean. He tells Jake that he can't take everything. He doesn't deserve to replace Dom. He doesn't deserve Eden. He ruins everything. Even Lucky is like, what the fuck, to Bo. Eden tells Jake that Bo is wrong. He deserves everything. But he could have just joined them. It doesn't have to be a fight. Jake tells her to wake up. This isn't a family. Jasper tells him that he's not the only one who cares for her, and that this is her home, and that they are her family. And he doesn't appreciate Jake impeding her ability to be who she chooses. Jake's basically like, who's going to stop him? Dom says that Jake was there for Eden more than anyone else, and that he knows what he's doing. Eden trusts him. Jasper says that Eden's lines aren't the only ones that matter here. Jacob's actions are affecting everyone. He tells Jacob that if he intends to lead, he needs to reevaluate his approach with all of them. Everything is broken up by one of the women's emergency whistles blowing and Eden yelling to them to get their attention because they're ignoring it. And all of a sudden, there are over 50 reapers armed, loaded down with heavy bags and pack mules, lining the inner rim of the trees surrounding Bristlebrook. The civilians that Jake has trained are loaded into positions in the windows, and Jake tells no one to fire without his say so and grabs a frag in case he needs to blow the bridge separating them as they head towards it. But the Reapers aren't grabbing their weapons, they seem to be setting up camp. Jake tells them to get off their lawn, that this is not what they talked
Sorry.
about.
Get off
Get
my
off my lawn.
lawn.
He's such a grumpy man. They have a whole
Oh, God.
forest. No need to block them in. Sawyer says that that's not very hospitable. How's anyone supposed to get to know them if they're all the way back there? They get out bread and jam and theatrically make themselves a snack. Lucky tells Jasper that he might leave him for some jam.
Well,
Sawyer looks at Eden and says that she should come over. They'll make sure she's fed. It looks like she hasn't had a proper meal in a while. Those boys must not take care of her right. Bo shoots the jar of jam in his hand. His temper's not doing so well. Dom calls him a fucking idiot and takes the gun out of Bo's hand. The Reapers are all grabbing weapons and shouting as Jake talks them down. Eden tells Sawyer that she's not interested in anything he has to offer. Lucky calls Sawyer out on it being a siege, that they're starving them out as they're unpacking mountains of food. Sawyer says they're not there to hurt anyone. They just can't go home without them. They need their help. Think of it as an aggressive friendship. Cole says that friends don't let other friends get all their food raided by Sam and his asshole cronies, and that clearly puts a vibe through the air. And Sawyer asks what? Jake tells Sawyer that Sam's dead and that Alistair is playing the evil overlord now. Cole goes pale. Sawyer stands and kicks over his chair, telling Cole that it changes everything angrily and asks Jake if they have a satellite phone. Jake says they have a radio, but they need to stay over there. Isn't it better anyways? Maybe Alistair will take a different approach. Maybe they can work something out with him that doesn't involve fighting. Sawyer says that Alistair is no better and that he's the one who led most of the raids on their land. He's smart and made it clear that he has no problem killing them if they get in their way. At least Sam was dumb as bricks. He says they're just farmers. They have a lot of land and a lot of food, but it means nothing if they can't keep it safe. Alistair is going to attack them and he won't hold back anymore. Can they just use their phone, warn their people? Eden goes pale. Jake asks if they're not going back because don't their people need them? Cole says there's nothing they can do to stop them. That's why they're here in Bristlebrook. They need them. Dom asks why they brought so many men then and how they knew they had women before they even left. And Eden instantly asks if she's there and then starts calling for Akira. Because they even knew how to avoid the cameras, and her men are like, what the fuck? Eden asks who else knows where they are and how many people are there. It had to be Akira. She told them to come in force so they could pin them in. And Cole eventually tells Akira to come out. And Eden is like, what the fuck? And asks her if she really brought armed men there. Casey's 14. She can hate Eden all she wants, but the rest of the women did nothing. Akira says she doesn't have to explain herself. She did what she had to survive. Eden doubles down and says that the civilians are not going with the Reapers, that Akira didn't have to leave Bristlebrook and it was dangerous to go with them. Akira says that she's fine and they'll be fine too. But it's Eden that's a devious, murdering bitch. Eden just nods. But Bo does not want her to take all that in, even if he is struggling with himself with her at the moment. And he tells Akira not to call her that again, or to even think that. Eden is a survivor and a better person than she could ever be. And Sawyer says it's time to clear a few things up. He says they're only there to keep themselves safe. They don't mean to harm anyone, and they all need each other. They need protection. They're not there for anything unsavory. And he yells to make sure everyone can hear them say that. And if any of them choose to go with them, they can have as much food as they can handle, and everyone can do with more friends. All they have to do is cross the bridge. They'd love to have them. Jake says they could just shoot them.
I
Sawyer
mean, that
says,
is an option.
yeah, he doesn't want it to come to that. Jake shakes his head and tells everyone to fall back. Sawyer asks about the girl that he accidentally shot. He's still really kind of torn up about it. And Bo says that she's on bed rest and she's in a lot of pain because they don't have pain meds like they used to. Sawyer goes to his bag and rummages around until he gets a bottle and throws it to Bo. It's heavy duty pain relief. Sawyer tells him to get her fixed up and tell her he's sorry, to please contact their people and give them a warning. They all head back inside and gather maps and start to try to figure out what to do. The men bicker a lot and can't seem to get their shit together on what they should do until Eden has to get all their attention and be allowed to be heard, and then gets everyone to focus on her and her questions and ideas so that they can come up with a plan. They set off for a raid and go through the secret tunnel exit, and since they're trying to be as quiet and sneaky as possible, Lucky uses that moment as Eden is dropping them at the end of the tunnel to kiss her, much to Jake's frustration. And then Dom walks by her and just passes and looks at her and doesn't kiss her. And Jacob doesn't know what's worse, her looking crushed or if Dom had kissed her. But then they get out of the tunnel and get a little ways, and Dom is like, fuck it, and heads back. And then he does kiss her and kisses her and kisses her and kisses her. And everyone else just like blocks Jake because he can't be loud or give away their position.
Good Lord.
Jake just takes a breath and steels himself and thinks, she said this was war and she's fighting her side, so he just needs to keep doing the same. He needs to do more to convince her. But
Okay.
he also keeps second guessing himself on if he can even do this mission. This is his first mission that he's leading the men, and he just kind of feels lonely at the top. Bo and
It's lonely
Jasper,
at the
I
top.
know, had a talk while everyone was scouring over maps earlier, and Bo uses this opportunity to tell Jake that he's sorry, that he shouldn't have said that earlier about him not deserving it and all. And the men get into position as Eden rounds up the girls and gets ready to be the distraction.
Yeah.
Music starts blaring through the speakers, and the women have changed into their bras and underwear and have oiled up their skin and have, in front of the bridge, planned and put on a wrestling show to distract the Reapers.
At the end of the day, they're just men.
It works, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, dude.
So, obviously, the brutes are able to raid on the food. And they return feeling like their little op bonded them. Dom is feeling a little free without being in charge, and everyone is happy that they got a win. They're even surprised as the Reapers just tell them to enjoy once they realize that they've been had, chuckling about it. And they all celebrate. Someone even runs across the bridge with a bottle of alcohol to the Reapers and runs quickly back. But they all drink and eat cookies and celebrate. The men are very careful and polite and put Eden in Jake's lap. And Jake's very confused. And then Jasper makes a toast, thanking Jacob and praising his efforts. And Jake is waiting for the punchline. And he's more confused when they just say they're going to bed. And the men say, okay, and talk about how they'll help cover watch. And Jake's just still confused and brings Eden with him and just holds her until they fall asleep. The rest of the men get talking and wonder if maybe it would be better for everyone if they did make allies with the Reapers. Not just the Reapers, but they've been keeping to themselves for a long time, like ever, until Eden. And it's been Eden helping them branch out. And it's clear that there are people around that need help, and maybe they can form allies and do this better. And it won't just have one person taking reign. They don't want a war. They have to figure out how they can make this work. The next day, they radio the Reaper camp, and they find that they didn't need to have the warning because Alistair had already struck. They burned their livestock barn, stole a huge chunk of their stores, and killed 2 dozen of the men. Eden is distraught. She doesn't understand why. Dom has to explain that Alistair went full Bug's life on them, trying to teach them a lesson that they wouldn't want to rise up against the man. Like, you give us the food, we protect. Like it's a full Bug's Life. It's all. Like,
Yeah.
if you've watched Bug's Life,
Yeah.
that's how Dom explains it. And at Bristlebrook, the Reapers are distraught, obviously, hearing the news. But instead of retreating, this only doubles their efforts, needing support and to fight back. Jennifer, the girl that had gotten shot, and Sawyer have formed sort of a truce and have even started eating meals together on the bridge on their separate sides, seeming to get closer each time, enjoying the company of each other. They've radioed the Red Zone allies, and they're on their way. They spend days building up more defenses, building more weapons, preparing the men. However, they're not having much luck with Eden, as Jake has doubled down and has been sicking his civilians on watch. And anytime they get within range or close enough to Eden, they are thwarted. The men use it as like a battle over the next week within each other, only like a friendly battle. It's fun for them. Jake even shuts off all the hot water in the other men's rooms so that Eden won't go in there. It's a whole thing.
Oh my God. Grown ass adult men.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Over the next week, they're all buying for time and trying to avoid Jacob. It's a whole mess. But Dom and Bo each find moments with Eden and they take the time to apologize and start the process of getting back on decent terms. The food, though, is dwindling fast. I mean, it can only last so long with over 100 people, so it's not looking good on that front. But it all comes to a head when Jasper gives up and he and Lucky scale the fucking house to go through Jake and Eden's window in the middle of the night. And they tie Jake up and tell him that he can safe word out at any time, but they'll just put him tied up in the hall and then they'll be in there alone with Eden. Lucky starts playing around with Eden, but then it's almost like he's putting on a show for Jake, and she just gets frustrated and calls him out on it. Like, are they there for her or are they there for Jake? Because she just can go. And she kind of gets cranky and loud, and she starts being bossy and bossing Lucky around, and Jasper is not gonna tolerate that. He's already at the end of his rope, and now he's scaled his own fucking house and got in there and had to tie up Jacob, and now he's having to face his own jealousy, and it's not going well. So he pulls out paperwork, and it's Eden's list of her limits, and he asks her if she agreed to let him be in charge or not. And she gets mouthy and is basically like, respectfully, he didn't give her any orders yet.
Respectfully.
Respectfully. That he rarely does. And he's like, bet, and tells her to crawl.
Oop.
Yeah. It takes a little bit of a silent battle of wills. Well, except for Jake in the corner growling and taunting. But finally, she submits and does. Jasper spanks her, and Jacob goes nuts and tries to convince Eden that she wants none of it and that Jasper's just going to hurt her. And Jasper realizes after a moment that he was too blinded by his own jealousy and that Jake is genuinely scared for Eden and afraid for her because he's afraid she's going to get hurt because he cares so much for her. And he takes a minute and waits for the room to calm and breathe and talks to Jake and tells him that he's got her. She's safe and Jake can trust him. She's fine. She wants this. And she also says she does. And Jake just sighs and nods. Jasper tells Lucky to get the toys out of the box that he brought, and they clamp her nipples and her clit with chained alligator clamps. So that's fun. And
So that's fun.
she likes them, but also does not like them. And
Yeah.
Jasper puts her on the bed, and they end up taking the clamps off, and then they DVP her. Well, Jasper only gets a couple of strokes in before losing himself a little too early and
I
can't
mean,
control himself, which
so
Jacob is
it
violently
happened.
laughing and making fun of him.
I would be too.
And when I tell you they make fun of him the rest of the book, like they even use, I'm
Honestly,
not going to talk about it
so
later, but they
funny.
use a tagline over the walkie-talkies and call Jasper Early Bird.
Dude,
Just
that's so fucking funny.
Lucky says not to worry, he's got this. But Jasper can just rest. Old man can
Oh
rest.
man.
Jasper tells him he's very smug for a brat that will be cleaning his bathroom with a toothbrush tomorrow. Lucky says not to feel bad. It could happen to anyone. Well, not him, of course, but anyone. And Jasper says fine. And then uses his Jasperness on Lucky and gets Lucky to release earlier than planned. And Eden's just like, no. And then so Eden's like, what the fuck? And crawls over to a still tied up Jacob and decides to use him how she wants. Thanking Jacob for the night and not freaking out. Well, he kind of did, but she's trying to smooth over the waters. And Jacob finally gives in and starts helping her back. And then suddenly his arms are free and the ropes are coming off of him. And he's actually able to fuck her back. And he's kissing her, and she finally gets to finish. And then Jasper has arnica cream, and Jacob takes that, and they work all together to rub it into her muscles. And then she runs to the bathroom for a quick shower, which I feel like they should have put the cream on after the shower. But
Yes.
again, what do I know?
Uh,
And
Again, what do I know?
she comes out, and the men are all sleeping in the big bed. So there's that.
There's
In the
that.
morning, they get the alert that the red zone is approaching and near the Reapers, and they head down, Dom and Bo joining, and Jacob grabs Dom, pulling him close, saying he doesn't know the red zone and needs Dom to talk to him. But they're both struggling, so Eden ends up just coming out and saying hello. Good men.
Men are useless.
Yeah. Arthur and the four people with them, she encourages to cross the bridge. And Sawyer does not look happy about this. And Eden introduces Sawyer and Arthur, and Arthur says that they've met in passing, but that Bentley handled most of it. Well, they did until they kept contact. And Arthur says that they saw food trucks going through Cyanide and they can't have anything to do with the friends of sinners. And the Reapers are not happy at this. They say they're not friends of theirs. The sinners have been raiding them for years. And Sawyer turns to the men and asks if they're really going to let Red Zone people cross over and just trust them. What more do the Reapers have to do? Their people are dying out there. They've been trying. They're playing nice and they're sharing. They've been there over a week. Jacob says they really actually haven't been sharing. They stole scraps from them. They're still starving and blocking them. Eden joins in saying they want more allies, more friends, but everyone needs to understand their caution and the risks. If the Reapers want friendship from them, they need to give them something. They need to meet them halfway. He seems desperate and says that the food was all they had. That was their only bargaining chip, and he just wanted it all to stop. Arthur also nods, saying that the sinners have pushed them too far for far too long. Maybe they can discuss something. Sawyer sends over a few bags of food, saying, consider this a show of good faith. He says they'll cook some things up, maybe have a barbecue, and everyone can talk shop over a meal. Toast to new friends. They talk through the day, and the evening finds Jacob, Dom, Bo, Lucky, Jasper, and Eden all in Dom and Bo's room to discuss amongst themselves. They decide that they might have to go with the Reapers for the betterment of all the civilians and create allies. It also might be better if the Red Zone goes back to where they are and remain allies with them as supply runs and whatnot, but not be a direct threat regarding Bentley because Alistair is more likely to treat Heather better because she's a woman and they don't want to poke what they don't have to. But if they do go with the Reapers, they agree that they all need to stay together. The civilians staying with them to make sure that they all stay safe. These are their people. it doesn't mean that they need to trust the Reapers, and they're not going to trust them fully. They all camp out in the bedroom and watch a movie and fall asleep in there until they're woken up by screams. They're under attack. At first, they thought the Reapers were attacking them, but no, someone's attacking the Reapers. The Reapers are yelling, pleading with them to let them cross because at the sound of fire, they took down the only bridge to protect Bristlebrook. And then there's Alistair. He's yelling over to Bristlebrook, saying they've all disappointed him.
He's
And
honestly, he's such a good bad guy, though.
I know. It's not very often that we find like a fun, decent one.
No, that's like when we were reading the Jewelry
The
Box
Jewelry Box series.
series.
And that's exactly where my mind went just now, too, because it's okay to not like the villain and it's okay to not like what they stand for, but
But
it's
it's nice
also okay
when
to enjoy the villain and
yes,
their
yes.
villainness. And I think that's what we try to get across sometimes when it's like, ugh, like I genuinely just don't like anyone. Like this is the wrong way to go about this or the wrong way to go about that. It's okay to enjoy things.
Yeah.
And it's okay to, you know what I mean? Make the bad guy be a bad guy. Make him
Yes.
be just do it,
It makes him a
But
good bad guy.
right.
Yeah.
And not a good bad guy, but a
But
good bad
yes.
guy.
Right,
Right.
right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. No, exactly. But yeah, the sinners are violently attacking the Reapers. Eden screams for Jake and the bridge because the Reapers have nowhere to go. They're pinned in. Jake runs, Jasper joins him, and they try to get a bridge over to them. It's completely dark, and they've purposefully not turned any lights on in Bristlebrook, so they aren't just sitting ducks. They're doing their best. Reapers are being taken down one by one, and they finally get the bridge in place and are trying to hold off the sinners. About a dozen Reapers are able to cross the bridge, and Jacob tries to direct them to the house. Cole takes a bullet to the leg. Bo brings him to the house. Jasper and Lucky hear Jennifer, still across the moat, scream. Jasper runs across the bridge to get her, while Dom and Lucky and the civilians fire for him, like to cover for him, to keep him safe. And he grabs Jennifer and tries to make his way back. Frickin' Sawyer just left her there and took off on his own. Jasper even sees Heather shooting a couple sinners on that side. He's really confused, but he needs to get Jennifer back. And Heather ends up clearing the way for him on that side, with their side clearing the other way on their side of the bridge, and he finally hits the bridge to get her across. Heather yells to Jasper and throws him a weighted bag as Alistair finds her, and she just turns and punches him in the throat. Just throat punches him.
Listen, sometimes you gotta throat punch a bitch.
Side note, it's so funny because I know we've mentioned it as a broken record, but I'm 5 feet tall and
Hmm.
I have a teenager. So sometimes when they get in the mood, they get all posturing and, oh, I'm so taller than you.
Hmm.
I can throat punch you, motherfucker. I'm at the perfect height. Don't mess with me. Not that but
I can throat punch you, motherfucker. That's so
don't fuck with me.
right. That's so funny.
Don't mess with scrappy moms. Like,
Good
I don't
Lord.
care how big you are or if you outweigh me, I will take you the fuck down.
Right? You're so funny.
But then Mateo runs up and him and Alistair wrestle Heather back. And Jake and Lucky recognize the pack that Heather threw as one of theirs that was confiscated from cyanide. It's loaded with C4 and dozens of magazines. Jake watches and waits until all the sinners crowd in towards the moat and the bridge, and then he calls to fire and blow the fucking bridge. After the smoke fades, Alistair walks closer and says that they have more packs just like it, and they can be much more creative of making use of their supplies. So they suggest that Bristlebrook ceases fire on them for the night, and they'll reconvene in the morning. They'll see them tomorrow. And then it starts to rain hard. And I don't know how I felt about this. because this is the third book in the trilogy, and it was kind of an outlier chapter. And if it had been something consistent all along, I probably would have been maybe fine. And I wasn't necessarily mad about it because I like insight, but it
Hmm.
was just odd that it was the only one out of all three books. But we got a chapter in Casey's point of view,
Yeah, that
the
was weird.
teenager. And I understood kind of, but this book in particular did so much back and forth and round with the story that I felt like they could have done it without her
Yeah.
point of view,
Yeah.
personally.
No,
But
I agree. It is
it was
weird
just
where it hasn't
interesting.
been consistently with them, and then just to
Right.
have that
And
was weird.
why just her? Right. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah. No, I get it.
odd to me. Just, you know.
Yeah.
But anywho, she had shit timing. Well, maybe not if you think about it, but she chose that particular night to try to go pilfer food out the side tunnel from the Reapers, and instead found Soren, Bentley's nephew, the one he needed all the medicine for back when. And apparently he'd been tracking the sinners, which I don't get either, but whatever. And he wanted to warn Bristlebrook of their attack. And Casey and Soren then find Heather slash Madison and Bentley and untie them. And Bentley takes Soren and Casey back to the tunnel while Heather goes for the explosives. And then we saw what happened with that. Dominic went to secure the tunnel while Jake was wrapping up things and blowing up the bridge. And he finds Casey, Bentley, and Soren, who is having an asthma attack. Bentley just hands Soren off, telling Dom to take care of him and that he needs to go back and things aren't as simple as they seem and he can do more good back there. Casey and Dom get the kid inside and Jake loses his mind over Casey being missing and having her return. Dom makes sure that Soren's good and then goes to find Jake. They talk about the first time they met at Jake's tap out ceremony and how Jake had no one there to tap him out. And he just stood there, and no one even helped him because he was kind of a gruff, stubborn soldier. And Dom is actually the one who tapped him out. And Dom tells him that he can tap him out again if that's what he wants. That Jake has led everyone well. And if he wants it, Dom will continue to follow him. Jake
Yeah.
says he knows, but he doesn't want it. And he doesn't need it anymore. He took it for the wrong reasons, but the job is fucked. Tom says it's lonely at the top, and he'll miss not doing it. Jake says that he's too wired to sleep and that he has Bristlebrook for the night. And since they were using Eden's bedroom as an extra room for medical, and that's where Soren is, he says that Eden needs somewhere to sleep too, giving that olive branch back to Dom. Eden has not stopped. She's been tending to the sick constantly, helping people, and she doesn't feel like she can stop. She feels like it's all her fault. Dom finds her and tries to get her to go to bed, and she just tells him she's too much to do. Alistair's outside attacking them. She needs to do this. Dom says he's not firing right then, and it's raining, and Jake has it covered. They have people on watch. She can take a break. Bo calls over and says that Dom's right, that everything is under control now, and she did plenty, helped them get all organized. They're good. She needs to rest. She knows the thought of sleep is impossible, but Dom leads her away. Once into his bedroom, he tells Eden to give him her truth and start talking. She tells him Alistair's out there, and he's out there because of her, and so many are dead. There are only 19 Reapers left. They had 53 when they got there. She didn't know they lost before they'd even started. Dom says that they could keep running back the clock, and he could say that he could have killed Sam before he even recruited the sinners. They could have moved. They could have made deals with the Reaper sooner. They could go back and forth all night of who can be responsible for what and who could have done things differently. But the truth is, it doesn't matter. Alistair's there now, and they're dealing with it. And they're dealing with it together. Don't count them out yet. She says she doesn't know how to just switch it off. Her mind is racing. All she can see is faces. Dom says, give it to him. Give him the guilt, give him the stress, give him the responsibility. Let him take it, submit to him, give it to him. He has her get off his lap where he had her and strips her down, has her on her hands and knees, and then he fucks her. Eden tells Dom she loves him, and Dom tells her he loves her too. And they end up going a couple more rounds until they're cuddling in Dom's bed after she calls him out on not really doing that much because he seems kind of awkward about it. And he does kind of admit that usually Bo takes care of the aftercare and the cuddling part, but he does well because he does like holding her.
At least he's trying.
Yes. Yes. She says he does take direction well for a Dom. Out in the rain, Jasper, Lucky, and Jacob end up talking together, and Jacob's kind of grumbling how he should have just gone to bed, not be the bigger person, and how Eden's probably warm. And Jasper gives him a look, and Jake just gets out, whatever, that they're doing the stupid sharing thing and with her, and don't ride his ass. No more breaking into his bedroom. That the cap is the cap again, starting tomorrow, and just I do love Jacob, even though he had a little weird power trip, but
Yeah. Well, I sometimes you gotta have those.
Bo comes up upon him saying that he's heading to bed. The wounded are all set for the night, and Jasper, all amused, says he believes Bo will have a surprise waiting for him. Jake grumpily says that Eden is with Dom. What does he need? Confetti? Bo's basically like, yes, get the confetti.
I just
Jasper also tells him about the whole boss thing, and Bo hugs Jacob, tells him thank you, and heads off to bed very happily. Eden is
Oh.
half roused awake by Bo getting out of the shower, saying, "Wow, this is such a surprise," and that everyone's stable, and that Deanna's on watch to make sure no one dies while Bo rests. Dom says to come spend time with Eden, that will cheer him up, unless she objects. And Eden is barely awake. She just grunts at him like, mm-hmm. But he forces her to give him an answer, and he gets a yes out of her. And then he fucks her quickly, telling her to keep dreaming. It's all just a good dream. They end up falling back asleep, and the next day the rain continues on, and both sides keep their distance, occasionally sending someone closer to the moat, but when that happens, the other side fires, making them retreat. The day after, they use what's left of the cameras to get surveillance on them, and they find them chopping down trees to go over the moat and building their own bridges. But the rain continues on. 4 days after the initial attack on Bristlebrook, the sinners start sending bombs over. 6 days later, Bristlebrook raises the white flag, and Alistair finally agrees to a parley. Eden, Dom, and Jasper cross the bridge to allow cooler heads to prevail, while Jake, Bo, and Lucky are on sniper duty. Arthur and Sawyer trail a little bit behind the trio on the bridge to represent their own people. Alistair, clearly having to keep up his pretenses with his men, is barely even acknowledging Eden's presence and only focusing on Dom. He asks Dom what he needs to say. He imagines that they want the sinners to spare their lives. Dom says that they need to leave, pack up their weapons, and go. Release the captives, and they'll consider discussing other arrangement, trade deals, etc. But the sinners' reign is done. The harassment of the Red Zone and continued strikes against the Reapers are done. If Alistair wants to have any place in the New World, he'll do it by agreements, not by force. A guy named Bane starts squawking about Bristlebrook having heavy balls and how insane it is and how obviously they're stupid, and then points to the trees and says, "Army," and then points to Bristlebrook and says, "A whole lot of dead bitches." Another man named Sullivan says that he thinks that they should at least hear out the suggestion. It's more sustainable, but Alistair cuts him off, saying he's aware of their position. Alistair says that he's curious why they think that they would agree to the demands, As Bane pointed out, they have them at a disadvantage. Dom says that they have 10 pounds of C4, 2 dozen frags, and more than 100 trained recruits, all armed and ready to fight, and that's just what he's willing to tell him. That as a SEAL, he knows what Rangers can do. Alistair says that if they have all that, why haven't they used it? And Arthur says that they want peace. Bane says it's because they're afraid. Eden says to Alistair that he knows why they haven't attacked. They're not willing to risk all their people dying if they need to fight. They want to avoid that. But if they can't, they will, and they'll wipe out as many of the sinners as they can, starting with him. Bane wants to know why the bitch is talking as he yanks his knife out as Dom quickly pulls Eden away and Bane slams it to where she was sitting. Dom pulls out his gun and a bullet explodes at Bane's feet from Bo. Everyone starts to grab their weapons. Jasper says, everybody put your weapons down. He tells them that they have several sharpshooters, but that was just a warning shot. Sullivan is shouting at Bane, saying he's an idiot and he's going to get everyone killed. All Bane says is that whores shouldn't speak. Alistair calls Eden's name and tells her to go fetch them some ale and some dinner, that his dog will help her bring it. Dom tries to say that she's not leaving. And Alistair says then, well, neither will they then. Eden says, it's fine, she'll do it. Turns to Dom, saying just to trust her. And Mateo leads her back away from the clearing. Mateo asks if Eden's mad at him, and she's like, what the fuck? Like, he killed friends of hers. Yes, she's mad at him. Mateo just says she needs better friends. They get to where Heather is, and she's leashed and collared. And Mateo yanks her leash back enough for her to start coughing and trying to breathe. And Eden tells him, thanks for the reminder that he's right. She's made too many mistakes when choosing friends. Mateo says that they saved her at Cyanide and they told her what they want for the future. And she says they also told her that they don't hurt women, pointing to Heather. And she says men lie.
I mean,
Mateo, right.
all men do is lie.
Yeah. Mateo says that he'll treat Heather like any dangerous prisoner, just like she did to him. Heather asks Eden why she's even there, calling her a traitor. Eden says that Alistair sent her to fetch some food and water for the meeting. Heather is angry, saying Eden was supposed to protect the civilians. And Eden's trying to figure it all out. Why is Mateo caring what she thinks? Why is Alistair sending her to do this? Why all of this? And she asks Heather if she has bowls because she thinks, she can kind of get her way a little bit. Eden asks if Alistair's any better, at least, how the captives are doing. Heather makes it very clear that Alistair's not good. He's not to be saved. They're still handing out women like prizes. No one's safe. No one's happy or free. Alistair lied. Eden says that he's clearly infatuated with her. Heather should use it. Find her moment like they did back at the Sinners Camp with the soup. Heather says that Eden's the reason why she's there. And Bentley comes up and he's not tied or tethered on a leash, just his wrists tied. And he offers to carry stuff with Eden back. And Mateo leads them. Bentley says that it's a little bit more nuanced than Heather was saying, that they pulled all the women and children out of the sinners' rooms that night they attacked. And the captives are not being beaten or taken advantage of. They're more like slaves, but it's complicated. Bentley puts a piece of paper in her pocket as they walk. And once Eden is back at the group, they finish the conversation, and Alistair says that they are at an impasse and that there's much to think on, that everyone should return at dawn the next morning. Once they get inside, they all meet in Jasper's room, and Eden shows them the note. It's not from Bentley. It says, if you want the Rangers to live, to meet him at the secret tunnel at midnight, because he has an offer to present. Consider this his calling in his tithe, and only bring one of the armed idiots, or no one will survive. After much debate, they agree to go and have Dom go with her. The fact that Bentley told Alistair about the tunnel and their secret exit is alarming and telling enough, so they need to go and figure it out. Eden and Dom go to meet Alistair, and they talk from midnight to dawn, making everybody just about late for the dawn meeting. Negotiations are rough, and they think they have some sort of agreement, even though concessions had to be made, but Alistair wants to finish and hash it out at the meeting. So he can kind of act like it was his plan in front of his people, is what Eden and Dom tell everyone when they get back, because we don't get this scene. Bo insists on switching with Jasper and going with Dom and Eden to the meeting, but Dom says no losing his temper, that Alistair is going to make it ugly for them so he can make himself look good. And Alistair starts the meeting saying that yesterday they were disrespectful. They made demands of him and his friends, and he found that unacceptable. He hopes that another night with empty stomachs made them reconsider how they approached things. Dom grits out, not a very good actor, saying that they shouldn't have demanded. Alistair says that they should have begged, and Dom says to please consider trade arrangements. Stop the war. Bane laughs, saying Alistair really can bring all bitches to heel.
He really likes calling women bitches,
Yeah,
like a lot.
yeah. And horse.
Yeah.
Alistair says that trade agreements are an interesting concept and that some of them have discussed the benefits. Sullivan and his crew are for it. Alistair says so the Reapers will give them food and stop any of their rebellions. What more do they have to offer? Weapons, tools? Would they be his errand boys? Dom takes a breath and says, yes. Alistair looks at Arthur and says that Bentley says they have artisans who can make alcohol, candles, even custom glasswork, blacksmiths. Arthur says yes. Alistair turns to Sullivan, asking if this is the deal he wants, and he says yes. He thinks it'll be best for everyone, no casualties, more opportunities for goods, make everyone's lives better. That they should take it. Bane says they can't seriously consider this. They have them pinned, and they have plenty of whores here. Alistair says, so he objects, and Bane says yes. Alistair says, so it's his decision whether he accepts the deal or not. He has one more question and turns to Dawn and asks, for all the goods that he's willing to trade, what does he want in return? Dom says that they want their captives, every last one. Alistair says, such a pity, almost a good deal. And then he shoots Dom in the chest. Chaos erupts. They manage to get Dom into the house. Both sides are now firing on each other. Eden is almost inconsolable, saying Alistair wasn't supposed to do that. He wasn't supposed to get hurt. She's sorry. She's so sorry. Everyone's yelling, saying where they need people, where they need help. Lucky gets Eden to come with him to help blow some people up. They're going to blow up the side tunnel because Alistair knows where it is. Jake is yelling, steering the show, trying to make it so they're not crossing the moat. Their side is working together really well, and they're shooting cannons at their makeshift bridges. Eden and Lucky get to the tunnel. They can hear people coming. Lucky sets it all up. They get behind secure doors, and they blow it. Lucky may or may not have used too much, and they kind of go flying, but they're okay. Just
It's
rock the
fine.
building a little. Just
Don't worry
some,
about it.
just a little explosion.
Just
You know,
a little bit.
you know. They run up, join the rest, with enough time to see that their side has taken most of the Sinner's bridges out, and the last one, Bo is lining up his cannon as everyone prepares for the blast, and when the smoke clears, they see what's left of the Sinners seem to be running away. Dom's okay. He has 3 cracked ribs and deep bruising and swelling, but nothing major hit, and he is okay. Bo has a concussion because he was the one who did the blast on the last bridge, but he's okay too. They confirmed that the remaining Sinners are gone from their woods and on their way back to Cyanide, and they clean up the aftermath, including all of the abandoned food, which actually helps them a lot and was way better than their original raid. They all have a lot of hard conversations and decisions afterwards and have to decide on what they're going to do in terms of the Reapers. They end up deciding that 32 civilians, along with Eden and the brutes, are going to go the next day to the farmlands and prepare for the onslaught of attacks that they know will soon be happening there. And the rest of the civilians will stay in Bristlebrook and refortify there. Many of the civilians don't feel safe going with the Reapers, and they made it very clear that it's their choice. And this works for both sides. They can fortify both places. Arthur and his people will travel with them most of the way until they can safely avoid the sinners and go back to the red zone. They give Arthur a satellite phone so that they can stay in communication. Dom is insisting upon going with them to the Reaper land, and Jasper and Lucky come up with a little plan to make sure he is ready to move, which I don't know why this has anything to do with anything, but whatever. They have Eden dress up as a nurse and play doctor with Bo and Dom, and they DP her. And it is literally the longest scene
It was really long.
in the book, and I don't know why. I'm all for a DP scene. Give me it all. But it was like unnecessarily long.
I mean, maybe they
It
just
was
felt like
dragged out.
we needed that very long scene.
But it was like all dialogue and
Yeah.
all like, dude,
Yeah,
fuck her.
right. But on the other side of that, if it wasn't long enough, we would be complaining that it wasn't long enough. Like
I, yeah, but
it's
it was
hard to get a
so
happy
much lead
medium.
up. I was like, dude, you're giving me blue balls. Come on.
Giving me blue balls. Funny.
So the rest of this is going to feel a little bit disjointed because this is how it's written. And I wasn't a big fan of the jumps, but it is what it is. It was
Mm-hmm.
a big boy. This is where we
Yeah.
are. I tried my best to condense them as much as I could,
All good.
but here we are. A week
Here we
later,
are.
here we are. A week later, and they are arriving at the Reaper's farmlands. Sawyer shows them around, and they have zero defenses. Dom is telling him that Sawyer needs to start posting men every 50 meters around the perimeter as a start until they can get things going. And Sawyer's like, no, they can't do that. They have to work on the farm and in the fields. They thought that Dom's people would have that handled, and Dom tells him that they're not going to do everything for them. If he wants to keep this place, they need to learn how to defend it, or they're going to have to leave. Sawyer says, okay, that they can do it. He says they'll get them set up in one of the barracks and clear out some of the men. And Eden's like, no, their people camp together. They'll be out in the pasture. They'll be fine. Another week goes by. They've heard from Arthur. The Sinners have already attacked them in the red zone 3 times, but they've been standing their ground, being creative in their defenses. Dom says that they need to get ready because they are going to be next, and sure enough, 2 days later, a battle is upon them. But because they're there, they're holding off the small crew that didn't expect the backup. Attacks keep coming several times a week for the next 3.5 months. But they hold down the fort. The Rangers are frustrated because it's apparent that the Reapers are pretty useless at anything other than farming. And they finally get their first glimpse at Alistair on that 4th month after being there, and he manages to make a good hit, burning down a building store and taking out some Reapers with it. Another month of battles go by, and Eden has her first moment of feeling like, crap. She hears women screaming, which means they're people, and the earth is shaking. And then she sees Bo leaning over a bloody Jasper, and Ava's screaming. Her face is burnt. She has fingers blown off. Eden's trying to figure out what happened, what's going on. They finally get the two of them back to the main compound that's heavily guarded, and Dom tells her that Jasper took a bullet over his cheekbone and Bane is dead. It was in an explosion that came out of nowhere. Ava was too close to Bane and she got caught in the blast. Her whole side is burned up pretty bad. It takes 2 months before she can be moved back to Bristlebrook. Another month goes by, and so now it's been 7 months since they left Bristlebrook, and Sawyer comes to tell them that Sullivan from the Sinners radioed them. Apparently, he's been working against Alistair the whole time, and after Bane died, he finally got enough support to take over. He says that he has Alistair and Mateo in custody and all of their supporters too. Sullivan says that he'll be there in 3 hours to offer a deal and trade agreements, and Alistair and Mateo's heads as an apology. Everyone is frozen, not sure what to do or how to react. Sawyer is frustrated. He doesn't understand why they aren't ecstatic. And he's talking about setting up a feast, and they just say, yes, set up a feast in the mess hall. Only 2 exits from that building. And they'll meet with Sullivan first and make sure everything's on the up and up before Once Sawyer leaves, the Rangers go nuts, talking about how they need to call Arthur and get intel. But as they grab the phone, it's already ringing. It's Bentley saying shit is bad, really bad. Sullivan thinks he's doing the right thing, but he took Alistair and Mateo, all of them, that Heather didn't even tell Bentley until it was done, and she was supposed to take Bentley too, but she didn't, and she let him escape with the captives, and he has them all safe at Red Zone, and that Sullivan wants to kill them. They need to stop. Sullivan and his people come up just as Dom gets another call on his phone. It's Heather. Eden, Jake, and Lucky go down to stall. Sullivan says that they're there because they want to make an offer, or rather accept their previous one if it still stands. Eden says that there are things that they should discuss. Sullivan says they have their reservations, too. It's a lot, but let him explain. That Alistair's methods, Sam's methods, men like Bane, he's tired of them. That he's been working in the background for quite some time, and this absurd war was the catalyst. He was finally able to gather enough men on his side who don't want anything to do with Alistair's way of ruling. No brutality, no war, no dealing in humans. Never again. His people shift their weapons in a uniform move, and he says any agreement that they make is contingent upon one thing. They refuse to trade with any group who participates in actions relating to the capture, confinement, or trade of another human. Eden says they have no interest in becoming or associating with anyone who would do those things. They've been working towards that world as well. Sawyer doesn't have any control in his temper snaps. He goes on and on about how they come there and accuse them. They're the ones who come and attack them. And now they're lecturing them. And they never wanted any of this. They welcomed them there. They made a feast. They've lost so many men. No one treats them with any respect. They deserve it. They're the ones with the food. Sullivan smiles and says, just kill them, and then they'll have a conversation, pointing to Alistair and Mateo. Eden says no, that there are things that they don't understand and that she can explain. But Alistair and Mateo cannot be killed today. And then there's a car door, which, when did vehicles become a part of this? I'd like to know.
Just now.
But like in this world where everyone's been on foot and camping, and now all of a sudden everyone's got a vehicle, and
Just now.
like, what the fuck? I don't know. And then Heather's there telling Sullivan to stop or she's going to rip out his throat.
Okay.
She tells the sinners to back away and fires a shot into the air, and they do back away from Alistair and Mateo. Sullivan says enough. It's been a stressful few months, but this is what they've been working toward. Peace, freedom. He doesn't know why she's being emotional.
Get the fuck out of here. Why am I being emotional? Shut up.
Eden is like, nope. Big fat fucking
Fuck
nope.
no.
Not that. Nope. Don't do that. That Heather is intervening because he's making reckless decisions based on incomplete facts. He should have been listening to her. He doesn't have the full story, and it's about time he did. And then we finally get the scene of the meeting between Dom, Eden, and Alistair with Mateo and Bentley at the tunnel, which we never did. Alistair clued them in about how he's raging a war on the Reapers and that people aren't always what they seem to be. That the Reapers supplied Sam with a quarterly dividend of food in exchange for their safety. And sometimes they fell short of requirements, so they would provide women instead. More than half the captives at the den were there because of the Reapers. Bentley even tells them that he freed 19 women from a barn on their compound while Alistair attacked them the last time they were there when the radio call.
Mm-hmm.
The sinners assume that Bentley's under watch, so no one really gives him any notice. So Mateo lets him loose and does his thing. Those women were chained up. They had buckets. The livestock barn that they were all whining about that they lost, livestock were women. Alistair says that they won't buy from them, but there are others who will, and he explains he wants a war, but he also has issues with his own people. Bane and the people he represents on that side of the sinners as a collective. Heather refuses any part of it, and they haven't brought her in because she refuses to see anything redeemable about Alistair, and keeping her alive has become a full-time job. She's devoted to his demise. He needs another way to eliminate men like Bane. He needs a war. Eden says that they need them to be his villain, and he says Bane's men, Sam's men, don't take well to his orders. So when he orders men to stay in the trees for safety, it's not his fault when his commands would have kept them safe, and the Reapers are cowards, so they won't fight back if they're unsupported. If the Rangers are running their defense, well, maybe there could be a lot of beneficial casualties in the war. Eden says that they can make them take each other out. Alistair says he'll tell them where and when Bane's men will attack, and they'll work it out so that each side will take some wins, eliminate some Reapers on some side, and Bane's men on other occasions on the other side, that it'll work. The only question is how to start the war. And Alistair says they're going to start with a bang. They planned for Alistair to shoot Dom, but Eden didn't know there was supposed to be so much blood. Alistair wanted the drama. He wanted the blood. He needed it to be convincing. They made sure that the civilians knew what was going on, that they had a clear choice in choosing to be going to the Reapers or not. During all the battles, they were in communication with Alistair. He even left them ammunition and supplies. But after the battle where Bane died and Ava and Jasper got hurt, Eden was pissed, yelling at him, asking what the fuck happened, saying she's not sure if it was Alistair's incompetence or that this was him not handling Bane and his men the way they needed to be handled because Sullivan and Heather are trying to work against him, or if it's because he's a controlling fucking bastard and risking everyone's safety. But he needs to fix it because anything from there on out that's done to their people, she's going to do to Alistair personally. Eden is pent up with a lot of anger and frustration after that, so she picks a fight with Akira because Akira had to know everything. She was with the Sinners before, and now she's with the Reapers, and that's just insane and sick. Eden kicks her ass, like, bad. And they all think it's pretty much over now that Bane and most of the men are taken care of. There's not many men left until Sullivan's takeover happens. And then now we're back full circle. And Sullivan's mouth is hanging open and his brain is short circuiting at Eden's story. Sawyer's freaking out, saying that they let them into their home and they fed them. They didn't have a choice. They're not bad people. Heather's just looking Alistair as if she's never seen him before. And Sullivan's
I
like,
would too.
no, yeah, no,
I
it's
don't know
not
that
possible. Yeah.
man.
And then there's more tires and Bentley's voice saying, are they too late? And another convoy that has Red Zone members and tentative women spilling out. More vehicles, ladies and gentlemen, that nobody used in the past. Arthur brings a woman over to Sullivan and she talks to him as Sullivan's eyes goes wide. And Bentley frees Mateo and Alistair of their ties. Heather turns to Alistair and tells him that she liked him better on his knees. And Alistair says that if it means she likes him at all, then he can kneel. Eden walks up to the women and says that the Reapers are all being contained by their people at the makeshift pretend feast that they had going. It's not enough, but it's their decision what they want to do with them. And they just sag in relief that it's over. It takes months of meetings and discussions and months of arguments and building trust to finally make initial agreements between parties. The captives, who are now calling themselves the free women, have claimed the farmlands for their own as partial payment for their treatment. The women agreed that the teenagers from the Red Zone and most of the civilians and some of the Red Zone protectors could join them at the farmlands. Bentley has resumed control of the Red Zone. All the Reapers who were involved in the capture, captivity, and trafficking of the women were executed. Trade agreements are an ongoing discussion, but all parties are committed to a new era of exchange. The Red Zone has been installing new custom windows at Bristlebrook. The civilians, like I said, are staying at the farmlands to help out and keep food going for everyone and be a form of defense. And Eden even says goodbye to Heather before they leave, and Heather gives her a big hug. Then The men in Eden drive home,
I mean, okay.
knowing they can't use a lot of gas back and forth. I don't know why all of a sudden they can drive. Don't ask me. Got nothing.
I don't know.
They're happy to be home, and then we have an epilogue of 4 months later. They've spent time exploring and investigating new towns and cities. They've even found an abandoned military base to gather weapons, gas, medicine, tools, and they're feeling better about their alliances and being able to branch out further. And they even found two small communities of survivors and put them in contact with Alistair. They enjoy being back at home, and all the boys blindfold Eden and take turns with her, making her guess who's who. And the winner was Lucky, who Eden did not know that he used to be a switch for a very long time before Jasper, and he went full Dom on Eden.
Surprise!
Yep. And that's the end of our book. And I just want to note that there was a little bit at the end that there will be a standalone, hopefully by the end of this year, for The Sinners of Cyanide with Heather, Alastair, Mateo, and Bentley. And it will not be a Why Choose. It will be an MF and an MM book. I also think that there's going to be or at least it left it open for the future for Casey and Soren.
Yeah.
But that is our story.
Yes, and that has come to a close of our
Yes.
journey, and that was a really long journey.
Which is funny because we started at the beginning kind of our year, and now we're
At the
ending kind of before we
Yeah.
get into our special months.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
craziness.
It is crazy. Awesome. Well, who has been your favorite?
I genuinely enjoy the men.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky was a surprise for me this one, and I really liked him a lot. I obviously love
Which is
Jacob,
funny
but
because that's not really your type
no,
of, yeah.
I obviously like Jacob because, Jacob.
Yeah.
But the way he went about his tantrum for most of this book was a
Mhm.
bummer for me.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, but I was like, Honestly, I was Team Eden for this book.
Yeah.
She pulled out the stops when she needed to. She pulled herself up. She did what needed to be done. She didn't wallow in the poor me like most of the boys did. Like, I was Team Eden for this one.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, Lucky's always been my favorite since like day one. But honestly, yeah, Eden, I do like her. She is a good character, and it's
Yeah,
hard. It's so funny because we don't get a lot of female main characters that we like a lot
yeah.
because they mostly all suck.
Well,
So it's
and
nice to have.
she definitely had her flaws throughout the series,
Well,
but
yeah, but not to the point where we're
I
like, fuck this
but I
bitch.
felt like this particular book was
Book.
her
She,
time to shine.
yes, yeah. Honestly, I feel like every single book has had at least someone who has had like their time to shine.
Yeah,
I still don't like Bo, but that's besides I don't know. I haven't really liked him from like the beginning. I don't know what it
yeah.
is. I don't know. But
Yeah,
anyways, he's
he
not
he
my
might
least favorite
be
character, but
he might be my least favorite of the boys
I'm gonna
though.
say he might though. Yeah, he is probably my least favorite of the boys. Who is your least favorite character in general? Oh, and
In
you know what?
general.
Honestly, I still liked Alistair because he's still a good villain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, my least favorite period of the book. Well, I still don't like Heather, and she couldn't get her
Well, yeah,
head out of her
fuck
ass
Heather. Like,
for
fuck that
this
bitch.
whole book. But also, what the fuck with Akira?
Yeah. Like,
And I felt Sawyer's just holier than thou, and like, oh, we're just so good. It was just like, cry me a fucking river and go die in a hole.
okay. Go die in a hole. Oh, fuck, dude. That's funny. Yeah, I fucking hate Heather. I hate that woman so much. But yeah, Kira, fuck that bitch too.
It's so
Meh.
I There's a couple times, and I don't even know why these are the things I highlighted, but I have, I take it back. Your grasp of nuance is on life support. I did like watching Jasper break a little bit in this book,
Yeah, yeah.
and the world's worst kitty eating coming right up. Hey,
Oh my.
Jake, got any tips? I hope you fucking drown down there. Me too.
Oh. It was good. This was a really fun experience.
I
So
definitely think I laughed
more.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. So Amazon gives us a 4.6, Goodreads a 4.4, and Storygraph is a 4.44.
So I rated the other two fairly high. And unfortunately, I think this might be my lowest rating out of the trilogy.
Hmm.
And not because I wasn't entertained, but because this book was so massive
Yeah.
that that was not necessarily the problem. It just didn't keep up with itself. Like the continuity was a little bit jumpy. Like it
Hmm.
was labeled fine and I liked that. So it wasn't that was the problem. It jumped all over the
Yeah.
place. And it was so boom, 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 boom. And
Yeah.
it didn't flow well. And there were weird continuity errors
Which is so crazy because we haven't had that
at all.
at
And maybe
all.
that was a me problem, but it was just odd because I was like, where did
Well, to
that
not
come
have it in
from
the
and
other two,
why?
but I mean, part of it could just be because of how fucking massive this
But
book
I
was.
honestly think it was kind of hard to contain because
Yeah.
it was so much.
Yeah.
But at that point, make it four. I don't know. But
I mean, I maybe.
did I say what I rated it? Oh, I rated it 4 stars.
Okay. I'm gonna also rate it for, again, for the, it
It's
was
still a
just,
4 star book for
well,
me,
yeah,
but
it was overwhelming, I
yeah.
think is the key here, is that it was just very overwhelming. But I mean, it's still a really good book, and it was a really, really awesome series, and I'm glad that we kind of like dove into that
Oh,
and just
absolutely.
decided to continue it. So that was definitely, I'm happy about that. It was just
Yeah.
very overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was very
Yeah.
overwhelming.
And I did. I enjoyed the little extras and the
Yeah.
characters and the side bits. And obviously I couldn't do everything because we
We would be here for
there's
17,000
right.
hours. Yeah.
But it is a good series to jump into, and I am glad we read it.
Me too. Peppers.
Let's see. We had multiple people and
Hmm.
multiple holes, and we had a little something extra with the toys.
Yep.
Mm, I'm gonna say a cayenne, but I'm gonna put it on just a tick before because what the fuck with that drawn out weird freaking dialogue?
Which is so funny because we talked about this, and like I was saying, it's so interesting because if it was not enough, like we would be complaining that there was not enough, but like there does come a point where it's a little too much.
Well,
Like,
no, no. Give me the sex, sure.
but
But
the
I don't
dialogue.
need fucking 4 chapters of dialogue before you stick your dick in someone.
Yeah.
Just talking about putting your dick in someone. Just do it. If you want 4 chapters of dialogue about your best friend's girlfriend did this to your mama's dog, fine. But don't tell me you're going to put your dick in someone for 4 chapters, holding her naked in your arms, and then not do it. God damn.
Oh my God.
Fucking his stitches are going to come out for crying out loud.
Oh my
I
God.
would survive.
I would survive too. Oh my God.
I would survive.
Oh my God.
For the next 2 weeks to round out to the end of August, there's 2 weeks and there's two of us. So we each set out to find a book for the other one to cover that we felt like spoke to us for the other person.
Mm-hmm.
That we felt like we read it and we're like, nope, this is that person. We want them to read it. We want them to showcase it. And we just thought it would be fun to be able to do that for each other. So next week, we're going to let Crystal get a little time in. And my reasoning for choosing this book is Crystal has read some Katie Robert books before and has tried to convince me that they are fabulous. And I've been interested as well, but I just have not taken the plunge. And she and I both have been on quite a monster journey this year. And when I saw that Katie Robert has a monster side and their novellas, which is Crystal,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that that would be a nice little wrap up for Crystal to do. We would get our feet wet with a Katie Robert book, get us a monster, and
Yeah.
Crystal gets a novella. So she got to choose which one out of the series she wanted to read, and she chose The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert.
Yes. Do you want me to read the description?
Sure.
Briar Rose might have a name out of a storybook, but she learned at a very young age that no prince was coming to save her. She'll have to save herself. Unfortunately, even that is an impossible task in her current situation. Trapped in a terrifying marriage to a dangerous man. Desperate times call for desperate measures, which is how she finds herself making a deal with a demon. Freedom from her husband in return for 7 years of service. She expects the service to be backbreaking and harsh. She doesn't expect to be put on an auction block in a room full of literal monsters and sold to the highest bidder. To Soul, a dragon. He might seem kinder than his fearsome looks imply, but she knows better than to trust the way he wants to take care of her or how invested he is in her pleasure. In her experience, if something seems too good to be true, it certainly is. Falling for Soul is out of the question. She suffered enough, and she has no intention of staying in this realm, even if she leaves her heart behind when she returns to her normal life.
All right. And
We're getting dragons and auctions.
I was going to say dragons auctions. I also thought, hey, Crystal could use another auction that doesn't have a stupid man with fine print. We're getting all the worlds. Hopefully this lives up to what we need. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. Check it out with us and find out for yourselves. Make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty.
To get them free, he asks for collateral.
And never trust a man.
He asks for collateral. He asks for collateral. Good fucking Lord.
Do you need some Adderall?
To get them all free, he asks for collateral. No, my God, why? To get them all free, he asks for collateral. To get them all free, he asks for collateral. I just want you to know that this says Lucky's getting eaten.
Cannibalism?
Yeah, right? Just mild cannibalism.
Or eaten out, one of the two? He's getting his ass eaten? Is that what's happening?
Lucky gets... all fun times.
You know. I need to locate my phone. I lost it.
Am I not entertaining enough? Are you not entertained? Evidently not. She needs her phone. Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck.